What's up and welcome back to Bardown Talking Hockey, episode number 177, presented by the Barroom Network. It is the home of everything related to the greatest sport in the world, the National Hockey League. My name is Vinnie Parisi, and I am a firm believer that the New Jersey Devils are going to always win the Stanley Cup. And this right here, this is Frankie Mueller, and he is the king of all beans. Frank, what up, what up?
How you doing, VP?
I'm doing masterful, actually. Today's a great day.
It's Travis's day off.
Ooh, love that for Travis. A day off. Can't say the same. Can't say the same. But hey, yeah, there's a lot going on today, especially in the world of sports. And something happened yesterday that to me in my world is so special. And we're going to talk about it in period number 1. Welcome to period 1, Frank. We are going to talk about the great Connor McDavid. Connor McDavid, I think it was about a year into his career that we proclaimed him the best player in the NHL. Is that fair? Because Crosby was firmly at the height of his powers. When McDavid entered the league, I would say Evgeny Malkin was right there, Patrick Kane, Steven Stamkos, Alexander Ovechkin. Those were probably, you could throw Claude Giroux, Patrice Bergeron, some of the Selke type guys, Anze Kopitar. That was the group when McDavid entered the league. It has shifted. Obviously, we know who the 5 or 6 best players in the league are right now, but I really don't think anybody is in the same stratosphere is Connor McDavid. He's not the league's leading scorer right now, but do you think he'll be anything other than 1, 2, or 3 by the end of the season? Of course not. Yesterday, against the Nashville Predators in Edmonton, McDavid found himself in a 2-on-1 with Leon Draisaitl, and Draisaitl made what was just the most gorgeous pass, and Connor McDavid scores the goal. It is his 1,000th career point. What was your reaction to McDavid getting it done? And when I say all these nice things about Connor McDavid, what comes to mind?
Yeah, to be 27 years old in the NHL and hit 1,000 career points, that's pretty remarkable. Now, to get it in such an emphatic way, if you got a 2-on-1 with McDavid and Draisaitl, that has to be the single-handedly hardest goal to stop in hockey. If you're the Predators, you can't get caught in that bad line change, but anyway, 4th fastest in NHL history to reach 1,000 points behind Gretzky, Lemieux, and Bossy. The fastest that we've gotten to witness with our own 2 eyes. And it's pretty cool to see a guy of our generation reach such a statistic so quickly. And then not only that, but assist on the OT winner as well. So he's got a point 1,001. Onwards and upwards he goes. It's pretty remarkable to see, to be honest with you, to witness with your own 2 eyes.
My favorite time any offensive statistic comes out, you hear about it's the X amount of fastest games played or whatever the case may be. The stat that you just named, Wayne Gretzky, Mike Bossy, and Mario Lemieux were the 3 faster in terms of games played. McDavid's 4th. But McDavid's the 5th fastest 1,000 points ever scored. Do you know why?
Did Gretzky do it quicker the second 1,000?
Yes. Isn't that insanity? Wayne Gretzky took 422 games to score his first 1,000 points. He took 429 games to score his next 1,000 points. So Gretzky was... he was a weirdo. There's no doubt. And I think the first half of Gretzky's career, it was fitting that he was that good. He was so much better than everybody else. I'm not taking anything away from him. But it's McDavid, I think, is talented enough where he would reach those goal totals era adjusted. I think McDavid is firmly in the GOAT conversation, the early stages of it, the baby GOAT, if you will. When I think of the Mount Rushmore of NHL, I actually don't think there's a distinct clear 4. I think there's a distinct clear 5. I think there's a clear distinct 6. I think right now the 6 best players in NHL history are Wayne Gretzky, Bobby Orr, Gordie Howe, Mario Lemieux, Sidney Crosby, and Alexander Ovechkin. I think those are undeniably this. Listen, I love Mark Messier, and you could start throwing goalies in there like Brodeur and Waugh and Hasek. More defensemen besides Bobby Orr, like Lidstrom and Raymond Bourque and some of these guys. Where do you see McDavid ending with his legacy? Because I think it's right there with that group of top 6. If he's not number 2 by the time it's all said and done, you can even make a claim that there's numbers he can reach that might not break the all-time point record, because 2,700 points is like kind of impossible, I think, in today's era. I think there's a path for McDavid to be known as the GOAT. But I'd like to hear your thoughts on what McDavid's legacy will be.
And that's what it will be. It'll be in the conversation of being the best NHL player of all time. Similar to how we have the conversation of who's the GOAT in the NBA, Michael Jordan or LeBron. I think that's what Connor McDavid's going to leave behind. It'll be who was the GOAT, Wayne Gretzky or Connor McDavid. The more that Connor McDavid accomplishes, the more he will not only add to his Edmonton Oilers legacy, but the NHL legacy as well. Think about it. Every year after McDavid's rookie year, he scored at least 30 goals, and he's had no less than 97 points every single season after his rookie year. That's including shortened seasons, the COVID season. It's unbelievable. And he's only played, I don't know how many years he's been in the league, like 10, 9 or 10.
He was the number 1 pick in the 2015 NHL draft.
So I think we're going on 10 or somewhere 9 or 10. But the unbelievable part about those stats, I said 30 goals and no less than 97 points in every season. He's only played in 82 games 3 times this season. He had a season of 64 games played, a season of 56 games played, and he still managed to get at least 97 points or 30 goals or more. It's really unbelievable.
I remember that first time he reached 100 points. It was 30 goals, 70 assists, 100 points. Just a clean number to kind of get going in the league. Yeah, I'm with you, Frank. I think so. You know my stance on Crosby. We argue about Ovechkin all the time. Okay, that's coming to a head soon. The Crosby thing, I'm not as dead set on it. Like I told you 250 goals ago that I thought Ovechkin would break the record, and I was like dead set on it. Like there's no way he does it. I'm not on that level of arrogance on the Crosby one, but I do think there's a chance that he reaches 2,000 points, 700 goals, 1,300 assists, 2,000 points. It's possible. He needs to play until he's 40, 41, be healthy, productive. But I do think it's possible. I'm wondering. Crosby.
Yeah.
And that in my brain would make him either the second best player of all time or third best player of all time. That doesn't necessarily mean most talented. There are people out there that believe that Lemieux was more talented than Gretzky, but injury and cancer kind of kept him from reaching the apex that Gretzky did in terms of points. But I think Crosby's right there. I really do. He lived up when we were kids. Like we were small when Crosby came up. I remember hearing about Crosby when I was in like summer camp, and like he was making his NHL debut. All the kids had hockey cards at one of the camps I went to one year. And yeah, Crosby was like, he was the next one, right? They called Gretzky was the great one. Crosby was the next one. And then they called McDavid the next one again too. McDavid and Crosby have both lived up to it. I'm going to ask you the question. Do you think Connor McDavid reaches 2,000 points in his NHL career? He needs 999 more, and he's 27 years old.
Only Wayne Gretzky has reached 2,000 points in NHL history. Jaromir Jagr came close, but he also played 300 more games almost than Gretzky. He still couldn't do it. Connor McDavid.
Jagr took 3 years off to go to the KHL.
Yeah. But Connor McDavid will become the second player in NHL history. If Sid didn't get to that point already to reach 2,000 points, to me, I don't think it'll even be close. I don't think it'll be a sweat. I think he'll reach it with ease. as long as he stays healthy, obviously. But I don't even think that we can debate this. McDavid, like, he still has, I would say, easily 1,000 games left in the tank if he's healthy, at least. That's another like 12 and a half years. At least he'll be 39. He's got over 1,000 games left if he could stay healthy, which means you'd have to go point per game for the rest of his career. But a majority of those games will probably be multi-point games, which makes up for the little number of games where he doesn't get any points. I think he gets it with ease. I really do, and I really don't think there's a debate for this.
I'm 1,000% with you. If he stays healthy, health matters.
Mm-hmm.
If Crosby doesn't reach 2,000, let's say Crosby finishes with 1,850, but you remember that in the heart of his prime, he missed 80 games between 2 years with a concussion. You probably will say to yourself, oh, if Crosby stayed healthy in 2012 and 2011, that, remember, he got knocked out in the Winter Classic against Buffalo in 2011, and then he kind of missed like basically the rest of that year, and then like the first 3 quarters of the following year. You'll say to yourself, oh, well, if Crosby didn't miss that time, he probably would have 3,000 or 2,000 points. I think if McDavid doesn't have that kind of issue, he will be the second or third player to reach 2,000 career points. Do I think he's going to do it in 659 games? No. Do I think he'll do it in 750? 800? Yeah. I think 2,300 points is on the table for McDavid. And if he's 400 points shy of Gretzky, he's the GOAT in my opinion. Crosby, also, you have to remember, played in the second dead puck era. There was one real dead puck era, the late 90s, early 2000s. There was a lockout. They got rid of the other red line, or they made it. I forget what the other rule was that they added that helped create more offense. You were able to be a little more physical inside of the blue paint. The league shifted a little more offensively after the lockout, and then it died again in like 2011, 2012. What was it, 2014, when Jamie Benn won the Art Ross Trophy with 80 or 87 points?
Mm-hmm.
That's half of the number of points McDavid had or McKinnon had last year to win the. Or I think Kucherov. Which one of them two won the Art Ross last year? Kucherov. I think it was like 150 points. Like 87. Kucherov had 87 points on Christmas last year. McKinnon's already got 30. He'll have 87 by Christmas this year, probably, or mid-January at minimum. Mm-hmm. I think McDavid will have the advantage of the league is offensive again. We're in a very high-octane NHL period right now. Do I think it'll eventually die down again one day? Yeah, I do. There'll probably be a point where 100 points wins the Art Ross again, and then they'll do something that, or someone will come out of nowhere that changes the way the game is played, the way teams defend, the way goalies are. We're kind of in a dead goalie era right now. Who you can't name more than 5 super elite, guaranteed 70 game a season goalies. I mean, it's Vasilevsky, Shesterkin, Ottinger, Hellebuck, Saros, Swayman, but like he's having a down start. I think the contract and all that issue has something to do with that. But like, there's only like 5 or 6 truly elite goalies in the league. So right now it works in McDavid's favor. I'll ask you this to close out the Connor McDavid portion of this show. What's your all-time favorite Connor McDavid moment?
When I
you
saw
could say yesterday too.
No,
that's cool.
No, because it's funny because when you asked this and I saw this, there's actually 2 that came to mind, and I pulled up a little clip so we could watch them together here. And if you want me, when you tell me yours, I could pull it up or try to find it as well. But the first one I thought of was the game against the Rangers a few years ago, where the Oilers were down 1 goal late in the third. It was a 5-4 game. Just give me 1 sec. And I think there was less than 3 minutes remaining in the game. And McDavid, he did this. It was unbelievable. It's going to be hard to see, I think, unless I make it full screen, maybe. I mean, that right there. And they're going to show it again. Your team's down one goal late in the third. You got Igor in that. Sure, he wasn't having the greatest game that game. Gave up a 5 spot. But nonetheless, McDavid goes through 4 guys on the New York Rangers. And this was a few years ago. Right here. This is unbelievable. Waits for everybody to leave the zone. Everybody's got to get back on side. 4 Rangers there. Goes right up the middle, too, and undresses Igor. This was like McDavid was still priming right now. Like, McDavid's in his prime right now. Last year, maybe start of his prime. But this was unbelievable. This is like 6 years into his career, and we know, like, there's still special moments to come. That right there was unbelievable. The other one, and I think this one probably takes the cake right here, is McDavid's 60th goal he scored in overtime. It was the only time he got to 60 goals in his career. He scored 64 a couple years ago. This is like, talk about poetic. Literally, Connor McDavid gets a pass from Leon Draisaitl in overtime to score his 60th. No, hits the post. Puck squeaks to Leon Draisaitl, pokes it out to McDavid again for the breakaway, and he scores his 60th goal in overtime in dramatic fashion. That was electric. I might have been watching that game live because I remember it vividly. That was unbelievable. Those are 2 moments that stick out in my head when talking about Connor McDavid and some of his best moments of his career. It's simply unbelievable.
You know, Frank, I was wondering which goal you were going to pick for McDavid because I figured both of us would just come up with one of those ones that we saw him score in his career where, like, he just looked like a complete weirdo. I definitely did one of those. There's a goal he scored against the Nashville Predators on, I think it might have been last year or the year before. The Edmonton Oilers were winning 3-0, and he kind of got hit by a defender as he was trying to steal the puck from them. If I throw you the link in the chat, will it?
You got it.
Oh, you got it?
Yeah.
It was one of the most skillful plays I've ever seen because not only did he like find the puck on his stick, yep, this is it. The move he made on the goalie to roof it past him was just absolutely unbelievable and unlike anything I've ever seen before.
Yeah,
that subtle little move that it looks so simple, but like 5 people on earth can do that. And the process that led to him being on that little break there too, the spinorama while getting hit. It's to me the most magnificent goal he scored. That one against the Rangers is right there. He had one against Columbus too, where he like came back from injury, and it was Connor McDavid, welcome back. But yeah, that one against Nashville, that to me is crazy. A little honorable mention in the World Cup of Hockey. He was on Team North America, and he made a beautiful pass to Austin Matthews. It wasn't anything more spectacular than any pass, like the pass to Darnell Nurse yesterday in overtime. You can argue was prettier, but yeah, this is the one against Columbus I'm talking about. Good pull. I mean, that is just unbelievable. Right there is like that's when you're like, this guy's a little bit different.
This was like 8 years ago.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, he's crazy. And the pass to Matthews,
he was a little nutty.
Yeah, exactly. And in the World Cup of Hockey, McDavid had 1 year under his belt. Matthews had nothing. You knew they'd never be on the same team ever again. So it was just cool to see him make that pass. That's more of a moment type of thing, like the feels kind of more than anything. But yeah, I think Connor McDavid is spectacular. And I said it yesterday. I'm honestly like happy to be breathing on this earth at the same time as him, even though he doesn't really know I exist. But yeah, this is the one against it's against Russia. Yeah, McDavid, just a nice little pass to Matthews. Matthews has 0 NHL games played in this time, and McDavid only has the 40 or so that he played in his rookie year the year before. And you're like, these 2 generational talents came out in back-to-back years. Listen, when Austin Matthews was drafted, when Connor Bedard was drafted, Jack Hughes, I bought into the hype for all of them, and they've all become superstars. Connor Bedard, I mean, it's been great, but I wouldn't have bet my life that they'd become NHL superstars because you never truly know. I would have bet my life with McDavid. When he was on the Erie Otters, it looked, and I know they said that about Hughes and Bedard, it looks different. Yeah, it does look different. McDavid looked different than different. He looked like he was 29 years old when he was on the Erie Otters, saucing passes to Dylan Strome and Alex DeBrincat. It was just different. And he's faster than anybody who ever played. He gets faster with the puck on his stick somehow. He's a complete weirdo.
He is a weirdo.
And he should be proud of his career so far. He's going to go down as one of the GOATs, if not the GOAT. And cheers to another 1,000, Connor McDavid.
1,001 onwards and upward. Here he goes.
Yep. On to the next 1,000. So he took no time. That pass to Darnell Nurse. And listen, Leon Draisaitl too. He'll have his 1,000 point sometime next year. I think Draisaitl ends his career as a top 20 player ever. I mean, it's not just because of McDavid too, because McDavid didn't make Draisaitl stand there and dangle around the Nashville player in one spot without moving. And then use patience to wait for McDavid to come off the bench, who then made a beautiful pass to Nurse. Game over. Edmonton wins. They're on fire. It's really, really cool.
Insane. Here's the 1,000th point.
Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl over. I mean, it's just fitting. Like when Ovechkin scored his 1,000th point, it was a goal assisted by Nicholas Backstrom. That's what you like to see. You see the same thing with Mr. McDavid here. All power to him. He's one of the GOATs.
Horrific line change by the Nashville Predators. That was.
Yeah, and you know what, though?
Bad.
I agree. You're right. But I think the Oilers force you to make those kind of mistakes. Why is it always McDavid and Draisaitl finding themselves on 2-on-1? Is every team in the league a moron, or are they that good? I think it's a combination of both. Luck is when opportunity meets what's the quote? Luck is when opportunity meets hard work or something like that. In this case, it's luck is when opportunity meets skill. And Connor McDavid makes everybody pay when they tweak, and it's unbelievable to watch.
Shout out to that dude's legendary sign. I like that. Greatness 999, legendary 1,000. That's a good sign.
That is true. Connor McDavid could retire right now and be a Hall of Famer. I mean, that's exactly how it would go down. He would be a Hall of Famer in year one of eligibility if he retired right now. But he'd be leaving a lot of money. He'd be leaving a lot of money on the table because his next deal is going to be just absolutely banana lands, and he'll be worth every penny. He'll be underpaid if you really think about the $1 million per 10 points. Yeah, he'll be underpaid. So, Frank, let's get into the rest of the NHL. We'll run through these topics rather quickly, but we're going to do that in period number 2. Hey, Frank, not to brag, but, the New Jersey Devils, they had a little hiccup against the San Jose Sharks, but they've won 5 of their last 6. They beat the defending Stanley Cup champions 2 games in a row on the road. They're now 12-6-1, one of the best records in the NHL. Do you believe in the New Jersey Devils?
Yeah, I have no reason not to. I'm not surprised in the slightest from this team so far. They're just picking up where they left off a couple years ago. They've been firing on all cylinders this season. They had a very dominant win against Florida last night, who are currently leading the Atlantic Division. Like you said, they've won 5 of their last 6 games. If it wasn't for the 1-0 loss to San Jose, they'd be on a 6-game winning streak. But hey, that's hockey for you. I think one of the biggest eye-opening moments, though, for the Devils this season so far is how well they played on the road. They're 8-3-0 on the road to start the season. And most of those road wins have been impressive, too. Back-to-back road wins against the Florida Panthers. Earlier in the month, they shut out the Edmonton Oilers on the road, which is one of the most potent offenses in the league. So team's playing with a lot of energy right now. Everyone you want to see contribute is contributing. Markstrom and Allen has been one of the best goalie tandems in the league, which is something refreshing to say when speaking about the Devils. So for Devils fans like yourself, VP, it's got to be fun to watch.
Yeah, I'm having a great time with it. It's so funny to think Devils fans, they've been craving good goaltending after every single year for about 20 years. We came in thinking, Brodeur, he's going to start 70 games, be a Vezina Trophy caliber candidate. If the Devils can score enough goals, they'll be a Stanley Cup contender because they have Brodeur. Now it's if the Devils can get a couple saves, they'll be a Stanley Cup contender because they have Jack Hughes, Nico Hischier, Jesper Bratt, Timo Meier. Their top guys are all producing. It's been really, really good. I think it's easier to correct woes at home than it is to correct woes on the road. So it is good. They've been mid at home, but really good on the road. It's not like they've been bad at home, just like mid. Like I said, they could be better. That San Jose game, they outplayed them to hell, and Mackenzie Blackwood played well. He made
That's
40-something saves. That's hockey. Sometimes the
and he does
Blackhawks
it
beat a
against his
couple teams.
former team too.
Yep. The Blackhawks beat a couple teams this year that they shouldn't have because Mrazek or Soderblom stood on their head.
Yeah.
They shouldn't even got a point against Winnipeg earlier in the year. They led that whole game 1-0 until Scheifele tied it up with the goalie pulled. Like, that happens sometimes.
You should have known that San Jose game was going to be a loss too. The Devils are on fire. They came off a couple games ago, shutting out the Oilers. Mackenzie Blackwood.
Who they beat the night before? It was the second half of a back-to-back. They beat someone.
The Islanders.
Yeah, you're probably right. It was the Islanders.
And they're coming into the Sharks game. They should pound them. But Blackwood's making his return to New Jersey. Just you knew, I don't know. You knew Fish was going to happen. That's hockey, though. That's why hockey's so great.
Yep, 40-something save shutout for Mackenzie Blackwood. I'm happy for the guy. There was a point in time where he was on Team Canada's short list to be a goalie for Team Canada in the Olympics, and then he fell off a cliff. Part of him being on that short list was because Canada's goaltending situation isn't all that great and still isn't all these years later. But, yeah, happy for him, happy for the Devils. You got a couple days off now. You have Tampa on Saturday, and then you have a couple, I think it's like 5 days off. They lead the league in games played. They've only practiced at home like 3 times since the start of the season. Mm-hmm. So the fact that they're on this run, Keefe's guys it's starting to look like a Sheldon Keefe coach team. And listen, I told you all that Jeremy Colleton was a good hire for that role. Everybody laughed at me. Oh, okay, good luck with that. Colleton knew how to run a power play. The Blackhawks power play was awesome when the team was shit when he was their coach. He put Taves in the bumper position. Patrick Kane ran the half wall. Duncan Keith or Brent Seabrook did their thing at the top of the point. Colleton had that power play cooking. You remember Gustafsson had 60-something points because he had 40-something power play points that year. Chicago's power play was awesome under Colleton. It was the only thing that was awesome under Colleton. But the fact that his job in New Jersey is solely to be in charge of the power play. They scored 3 power play goals yesterday against a team that has Barkov, Ekblad, Sam Bennett, some of the best penalty killers in the NHL. 3 power play goals yesterday, and they kind of did it with ease. I believe in this team. Do I think they're going to win the Stanley Cup? I say I do. Obviously, I'm biased, but they're a contender. They are a Metropolitan Division contender. So yeah, Frank, let's move on to your team. Connor Bedard, a little bit of a slump. The team is dog shit, right? They're worse than I thought they were going to be, and I think they're going to stay this bad. If I'm at this point, I'm rooting for another high draft pick, because you could still get development from guys. I'd like to see Rockford start winning a little bit more. They kind of been losing a lot, but Nazar looks good. Colton Dock looks good. Camesso looks really good in net. And then you got guys in college hockey playing real well. So that's a good sign. And organizationally at the NHL level, they're scoring 1 goal every regulation, 4 straight games with only 1 goal in regulation. But the main point I wanted to touch on, and we'll get your thoughts on it first, and then I'll give my little thought. Connor Bedard's in a little bit of a slump. Okay. Mm-hmm. He's a scorer in the league. It happens to everybody. I'll share my thought on it after you give yours.
Yeah, he hasn't scored a goal since October 26th against the Dallas Stars. Been in a little bit of a slump, which sucks. I want to see more out of him. But, I'm not knocking him. This isn't a knock. This doesn't mean I'm worried about him. I just think, he leads the Blackhawks in points right now. It's not hard to do on this team, but they need to find a way to crack the code and get number 98 away to find the goal column. I think we said this last year too, and it proved to be right. Once he finds a goal, I think they'll start to come in bunches. There's just not much you could do on this team right now. Switch up the lines, you could do that. You could try putting him somewhere else, see what he could do, but I'm not worried about it. I know he's not exactly what we expected. He's not performing as much as he did last season. The 3 goals, worries a lot of people. Yeah, it sucks, but I think he'll be okay.
See, I think Connor Bedard, I think it is impressive that he leads this team in scoring. The team sucks; they don't score, whatever. I get what you mean, but he's 5 goals behind the goal leader, and he still leads the team in points. So the playmaking has been there. He hasn't had puck luck with his shooting. His shooting percentage is unrealistically low. I don't think that's going to last. I really, really don't. Let me read you through something. Nathan McKinnon in his rookie year, he had 63 points, won the Calder Trophy. I think Bedard had 61 last year and won the Calder Trophy, so right there. Second year for Nathan McKinnon, 38 points. Third year for McKinnon, 52 points. Fourth year for McKinnon, 53 points. That's 4 straight years of, okay, Nate, are you this highly anticipated number 1 pick? He wasn't quite Connor McDavid when he was playing for the Halifax Mooseheads, but like he was close. He was like a Jack Hughes or so, right? Like a high-end number 1 pick. Year 5, 97. Year 6, 99. Year 7, 93. Year 8 was the short season, only 48 games. He had 65 points. That's like a 120-point pace. The third year or the next year, he had a little bit of an injury trouble, only played 65 games. He might have had COVID too. Who knows? He had, 88 points in 65 games, about a 120-point pace. Then the following year, he really stayed healthy, 111 points in 71 games, which you figure is about 120 point pace. Then last year, he plays all 82 games for the first time since 2019, and he has 140 points. I mean, it is not going to happen overnight for Connor Bedard.
No.
McDavid's a weirdo. Austin Matthews are weirdos. Those are the 2 guys I can think of that were number 1 picks, and they came in and they were superstars in year 1. And like even Austin Matthews, he had 40 goals as a rookie, but like he only had 69 points. So it's not like he had this crazy 100-point. McDavid had 48 points in 42 games played in his rookie year. He got hurt. If he played the whole year, I think he would have been one of those 100-point rookies. But Connor Bedard, listen, he could have 50 points this year. I won't even bat an eye. I will not care. I don't think that's going to happen.
All right.
He will be a 100-point player in short order. The shooting percentage is going to climb. I like the way he plays. I don't like that he has a different line mate every game. He's had 8 different lines in the 15 games they played so far. Not good. You don't want that. I don't really understand why Luke Richardson does that. I haven't grown the balls to ask him that at the end of any game yet. But I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about being like, Coach, what is it going to take for Connor Bedard to have a consistent line every game? Or what do you need to see for Connor Bedard to have consistent line mates every single game? I'm thinking about asking him that, or like some variation of it, because it is going to be an issue scoring if you're not gaining any chemistry with any of these guys that were brought in to literally be his line mates. The day they traded for Teravainen, okay, another guy to play with Bedard. Bertuzzi, okay, a guy to go to the front of the net for Bedard. It hasn't happened so far. We'll see how it goes, but 0% worried.
I couldn't agree more. There's a lot of people out there who are worried, and I don't even bat an eye at it.
You know what's a good sign? Where's Connor Bedard's next game? In his home province of
Vancouver,
British Columbia,
right,
against the team he grew up loving, the Vancouver Canucks.
Dude's gonna have a hat trick.
Breakout game.
And once the floodgates are open,
the floodgates were open out of the gate, and then the team started to lose a little bit. He slowed down. I do think if they want to avoid being a bottom 5 team, he needs to score more. Because if he's not leading that offense, it's bad.
Right.
I like the way they've been defending and the goaltending they get, though. The way Dickinson will be top 10 in Selke voting. He won't have the points to like win it or be in true contention to win it, but the way he played against Kirill Kaprizov was magnificent. Kaprizov was able to do nothing. He had that one little subtle pass, and Matt Boldy made a brilliant shot. But other than that, it was an incredible game for Dickinson against the Wild. So hopefully the Hawks are able to kind of pick it up a little bit. Connor Bedard's going to get going real soon here. Talked about the Nate Dogg a little bit when comparing Connor Bedard to him. So far this year, he has 7 goals, 26 assists for 33 points. It kind of looks like he's going from that guy who like hasn't won the MVP yet somehow to a guy who really could just win it in back-to-back years. If you erased all 7 of Nathan MacKinnon's goals so far this year, he would still be in second in the league in scoring, only behind Kirill Kaprizov.
Yeah, I mean, leads the NHL in points. He's got 13 points in his last 5 games, and one of those games he had none. So you could really say he's got 13 points in 4 games. Last 3 games have been multi-point games for Nate MacKinnon. They've been mediocre this season, the Colorado Avalanche. But, since then, they found a little mojo. They've won 3 games in a row. But really, aside from MacKinnon, Rantanen, Makar, and Middlestat, no one on this team's done anything. And it's sad to say that they are the only players on this team who have double-digit production and points so far. So when you have your top guys performing like this, so great to start the season, it really kills them to have none of their depth stepping up to the plate. Think about it. If their depth was scoring, dude, they'd probably be leading the Central Division. Well, they wouldn't be higher than the Jets, but they'd be up there. They'd be a top 2 or 3 team in the Central Division, and now they're 9-8. They're middle of the pack. I mean, Nathan MacKinnon's putting the team on his back right now. What he's doing is incredible. He had 140 points last season. He wants to have more than 140 points this season. So it's great for MacKinnon. It sucks for the rest of the team that none of their depth is producing. But I think that was one of your worries coming into this year.
Yeah, I still think Colorado gets in. But it's not a guarantee. But I still think they get in because their Hall of Famers get them in. If the season ended today, they'd miss by 1 point. They are 9-8-0. I believe. No, there's a couple teams that haven't lost in regulation yet. Only one in the Eastern Conference, Carolina, the only team that hasn't lost in overtime or a shootout. But we'll see what Colorado's able to do when it comes to getting into the playoffs. But the Nate Dogg, if they make playoffs and he's this good, he'll win the MVP solely on the idea of most valuable player to his team. Because Cale Makar is a dark horse to win the Art Ross Trophy too. He's been incredible too. Makar currently has Rantanen has 25 points too. Where's Makar?
Rantanen, Makar, they're all doing good.
Oh yeah, also 25 points for Makar.
Great.
Yeah, Middlestat's been really good. High first-round pick. It's not really that surprising now that he's in a good situation. Just get out of Buffalo. Unless you're Tage Thompson. Tage Thompson's the only person I've ever seen be traded to Buffalo, and they got better. Everybody else, they get traded out of Buffalo. Ryan O'Reilly, Casey Middlestat, Jack Eichel. There's a couple other ones. Jeff Skinner. There's plenty of Buffalo Sabres who get traded out. They get better. Tage Thompson's the only one that gets traded to Buffalo and gets better miraculously. But yeah, we'll see. Frank, the Eastern Conference is very mid.
It's very mid, but I feel like a lot of the teams in the middle of the Eastern Conference, it's very tight. And I know it's hard to say that early on in the season, but
no, it is.
You look at Ottawa, Buffalo, Philadelphia, Detroit, Pittsburgh, New York, Tampa. I think they're all coming off wins, or a majority of them are all coming off wins. So it's very mid, but they're all they win together, they lose together. They win together, they lose together. And then you got Washington, who's in a wild card right now, early obviously, but they're 10-4, something like that. They're excelling right now. They're the top of the mid, just besides the division leaders. But yeah, it's just the teams right now hovering in the middle of the Eastern Conference are all winning together and losing together. It's very weird. It's very weird to see. But yeah, the Eastern Conference is just
Yeah, not enough people. Not enough people at the top of the conference is real good. But the Bruins are in third place in the Atlantic, and
they kicked it up.
Yeah,
they kicked it up a little bit. They got shit on by the Stars.
Yeah,
the Stars got their number this year.
Yeah,
that's 2-0 for the Stars this year.
Yep, I'm terrified for the Devils to play the Stars because they have contrasting styles, and I don't like it. It would be an impressive win in my book if the Devils were able to beat them. But Frank, last point: what the hell is wrong with Anaheim? They are currently in last place of the entire Western Conference. They're tied for last in the league. 5-8-2. I don't really understand why they stink though. They keep adding talent. The guys keep developing. There's good returns on some of them, and they just don't win games. And they have a Vezina caliber goalie. Dostal comes in third for the Vezina Trophy if the season ends today. Only Hellebuck and Shesterkin finish higher than him if the season ends today, in my opinion.
There's just no chemistry. They can't score goals. The team doesn't score goals. They're the worst offensive team in the NHL. They don't shoot the puck enough. We're constantly seeing the Ducks finished with 22 shots on goal this game, or we finished with 24 shots on goal this game. They can't get shots on net. I think Trevor Zegras, he's wilting away. He's got 3 points this year. Trade him. We've been saying this. Trade him away. I think if Trevor Zegras is going to unlock any hidden talent in his game, it's not going to be with the Anaheim Ducks. There's going to be teams out there that'll see potential in him and would want them on his team. There will be teams that want him. Trade him away. I don't think that's the end-all, be-all fix here for the Anaheim Ducks, but I do think it helps a little bit. I think make that statement in the locker room. And like you said, Lucas Dostal, he's been great. Buddy has a .922 save percentage in 12 games so far with the Ducks. That'd be leading even some of the playoff teams right now and division leaders. He'd be leading some of those teams. But like I said, they're just not getting enough shots on goal each game. Something needs to change. And I think getting rid of Zegras would be a big statement. Don't think it would fix anything immediately. I think it's something that needs to happen. I think he has the chance to be traded and be something good. Because right now, I think he's flat. I don't even think of him as elite. I don't even think of him. He's a good player. He's not performing that well. Get him off the team.
Oh, do you consider me one of those weirdos who's like every time a guy's available, like, oh, let's get him on the Devils? I think I'm pretty realistic. I'm pretty realistic, though. I wanted Markstrom. They got him. Like, I wanted any of the good goalies that were available because they were in the market for a goalie. I know they're not trading for, like, a center anytime soon, right? Because you got Hughes and Heischer, like Holla. They really like some of the returns on, some other guys. Zegras is on my short list.
I'm not surprised.
I think it was Zegras, Hughes, Bratt, top line. And then you run Meyer, Heischer,
could you
Mercer,
imagine if he was on
whoever.
the Devil or the
I just think he fits.
Anybody.
The Hurricanes would be good too. I'm not just saying it because it's my favorite team. I see Zegras in a high octane offense succeeding because he's got so much skill. If he had a true
100%.
sniper, if he had a sniper like Bratt on his line, or even Hughes, who's not, I don't necessarily consider Hughes a sniper, even though he'll have 40 goals. He's not like a pure sniper. He's a playmaker first, but he's like a dual threat. I think a guy like Zegras with that much skill, he'd find Hughes and Bratt in areas that he wasn't able to find other players on the Ducks. I do think it's a good fit. I don't know if the Devils would ever make a move like that, but it would be a good fit, and I feel the same. The Hurricanes are a good example of that too. But like the Stars, if I was a Stars fan, I wouldn't be begging for Zegras. I think he would change the structure of a team like that. But like a team like the Devils, who are high octane, always trying to get the puck into open, soft areas, to me, it's a perfect fit.
And listen, now I forgot what I was going to say. And I had this big point I was going to make.
Something about Zegras, Hurricanes, trading them.
Yeah. And this is going to be hard for Anaheim Ducks fans to hear. All right. Because listen, I've gone through it with guys I like. If you're an Anaheim Ducks fan, you love Trevor Zegras. He's electrifying. He's got great hands. He's the entertainment guy. Like where he has the skill you talked about on a high octane team or on offense, he could make the plays. He could do the Michigan. He's the flashy guy. He's on the cover of NHL for that reason, right? They always put somebody like they got the Hughes brothers. They put players that are dynamic. It's going to be hard to hear for Ducks fans. He's not in the future of their core. You're not winning a championship with Zegras on your team. I don't mean that as in if he's on the team, he's going to make your team worse and they're not going to win. But in the long future, there is no Trevor Zegras in my mind. When I look at the future of the Anaheim Ducks down the road, I don't see Zegras anywhere, and that's going to be tough to swallow for a lot of Ducks fans because of how much they love Trevor Zegras. I just know. I just know.
It's very fair. I agree with you. All right, Frank, let's move on. We're going to talk a couple other sports and wrap up the show in period number 3. Period free. Frank, give me 2 minutes on the NBA.
2 minutes on the NBA. Well, first of all, start of the season's been good. The Cleveland Cavaliers VP, only team who are undefeated. They're 13-0 to start the season. Very impressive. They got a very talented team. Kind of surprised, but not surprised at the same time. There are a lot of question marks surrounding Golden State this season after Klay Thompson's departure. The Splash Brothers, no more, went to the Dallas Mavericks. They played each other the other night. Klay made his return to Golden State. Golden State got the best of them in that game. It was a great game. You could argue that since Klay's departure, they're even better. They're 9-2. They've been better. It's like they cut. I don't want to say it like I don't mean this to be mean to Klay, but they kind of like cut off the dead weight and they got better. Because last year they were all right, but Giannis Antetokounmpo leads the NBA in points per game. He went off his rocker the other night. VP had 59 against the Hornets. Also, we talk about players finding the fountain of youth so far this season. Anthony Davis is averaging 30.2 points per game this season, second in the NBA. He's been in the league 13 years, and he's never averaged more than 28.1 points per game. It's impressive that 13 years into your career, you're averaging a full 2 points more than your career best. It's very early, obviously, way too early to get really excited, but dang, has he been good. Pistons been much improved so far this season. The number 1 draft pick for Atlanta, he's looked pretty good so far. And then I think one of the big stories I can end on is Bronny James got sent down to the Lakers G League, and he'll only play home games for that team. But it's been a fun start to the season so far. It's my little quick 2-minute synopsis of the NBA this season.
Very good. And then I'm going to name a couple football games I'm excited for this upcoming week. Then you could name a couple of yours if I didn't touch on them. There's only one true treat college football game this weekend. I mean, I'm going to keep up with all college football. I'm going to make my 10 picks probably tonight in your presence later. But Georgia, Tennessee. I mean, that game is going to be so sick. I'm very excited for it on Saturday night. In the NFL, obviously, Bears, Packers. Both teams could be 0-11, and I would still think it's an entertaining matchup because Vince Lombardi and George Halas invented the NFL. And their two teams still play 100 years later. I do find that to be cool. I wish the Bears were more competitive. And then you look across the rest of the schedule. Obviously, the premier game of the week in terms of good team versus good team is Baltimore versus Pittsburgh. Old school rivalry in the NFL too. Very excited to see the Ravens and the Steelers play. What will prevail? The high-octane offense of the Baltimore Ravens or the high-octane defense of the Pittsburgh Steelers. It should be fun to watch. And then there is another marquee matchup, obviously, between the 9-0 Kansas City Chiefs and the 8-2 Buffalo Bills. Frankie still thinks the Bills have a chance in that game. 100%. He hasn't learned his lesson.
100%. I learned in the regular season. I learned my lesson. They always beat them. 3-1. It's all right. 3-1. Can't be perfect.
All right. But you got anything else on football?
Number 7 Tennessee versus number 12 Georgia this weekend. Biggest question will be, how does Carson Beck respond after their dismantling loss to Ole Miss? But yeah, you named some good NFL matchups. A lot of great football matchups this weekend. I'm looking forward to them all. I can't wait. I'm going to be dialed into most of those games we just named.
Absolutely. All right, Frank, really quick, give me a pick on the big fight on Netflix tonight. Mike Tyson, Iron Mike versus Jake Paul.
These types of fights are just, you're probably going to think I'm crazy, maybe not. When you said there's one crazy pick, I don't know which way you're leaning, to be honest, but I think Jake Paul's going to win. If this was like Mike Tyson in his prime and there wasn't all this, it just feels like an entertainment-y buildup. To where Jake Paul's just going to beat on older guys. Didn't he do this with somebody else? He fought somebody else that was a little bit older. Was that somebody what was the fight?
You're probably right.
It's just like,
I don't remember.
Is it Mike Tyson undefeated or something like that? Does this even go against his record? Because there was a fight where somebody was fighting, but it didn't go against the record. It just seems too meh. I don't know. There's something about it. I think Jake Paul gets the win. Not because I think he's the better overall boxer, just because I just think that's what it's played up to be. I don't know. This was in any other time period. If this is any other time period, Mike Tyson beats his head off, and it's not even close. But
it's an entertainment fight. It's one of those like McGregor versus Mayweather,
maybe
right?
That's what I'm thinking of. That's what I'm thinking of.
It's what it's like.
Yeah.
But I think Mike Tyson's going to beat the crap out of him.
He should I would
I
say
wholeheartedly think it's not going to be close.
I in any circumstances he should beat the crap out of him, no problem. It should be easy for Mike Tyson, but it's one of those fights where Jake Paul's probably going to get the win. It's like that entertainment-y, I don't know.
Everybody said that about McGregor though, and Mayweather was like,
Me,
"You're
I
in
was
my
with
house."
you. I was
Yeah,
with you.
I'm in the same exact boat on this fight. I think Mike Tyson kills him. I really do.
I'm pulling for Mike. I am.
Me too. Me too. Me too. All right, Frank. Let's get it on with America's favorite podcast segment of the week. Nuts.
Where's my money, bitch?
Frank, the floor is yours.
Got it, VP. Got it to 50%. 4 straight weeks of positive picks. We have gone 2 out of 3 or better in 4 straight weeks. We're trying to make it 5. 3 really, really good picks for you this week. We're hot right now. First up in the NHL today, the Nashville Predators are playing the Calgary Flames. First of all, who do the Nashville Predators think they are coming into this matchup as a road favorite? The Predators have still been slumping since we've talked about them last week. They've lost 4 out of their last 5 games. They just played against the Edmonton Oilers last night and lost. And you come into this game as a road favorite in Calgary? The Flames haven't been anything to gloat about lately either, but at least they've been competitive and actually scoring goals, something the Predators have neither of lately. Give me the Flames at home. Calgary Flames money line at plus 110 for 2 units. Little college football matchup this weekend. The nightcap. It's going to be a 9:15 p.m. Central game, I believe. We got unranked Kansas at undefeated ranked 6th team in the country, BYU. This game's a very fishy one. Very mind-boggling, to say the least. You got undefeated 9-0 BYU at home versus unranked 3-6 Kansas. Kansas is only a 2.5-point underdog on the road at 3-6 against undefeated ranked BYU at home. They've never beat 2 ranked opponents in back-to-back weeks in program history. They're coming off that ranked win against Iowa State last week, and the line continues to fall from BYU being 3.5-point favorites, even though over 80% of the bets are coming in on BYU. If a 9-0 ranked undefeated 6th program is home, facing a 3-6 team being only 2.5-point underdogs, and the line's dropping, doesn't smell like trout, then I don't know what to tell you. We'll take Kansas plus 2.5 points at minus 105, bet to win 3 units. Which brings me to the Sunday game, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills. The Mega Max here. I've been waiting for this moment the entire season. The football gods wanted the Chiefs to win last week so that they continue their undefeated record coming into this matchup with the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen and this whole Bills team salivating at the moment to give Patrick Mahomes his first loss of the season. Not only has this Bills team been electric, but Josh Allen has proven not once, not twice, but 3 times he could get it done against Patrick Mahomes in the regular season. And this game at home for the Bills makes me even that much more confident. Give me the Bills money line 130, bet to win 10 units. Nuke it, max it, Bills get it done and give the Chiefs their first loss. I cannot wait. I'll be dialed in.
You're on crack. Sorry. I'll never bet against the Chiefs again. Never. Suicide. Money, suicide. I'll be happy for you if the Bills win. I won't say I'm wrong, though, because I'll still say I would never bet. That's just a game. If I'm not betting against or for the Chiefs, I just stay away. You got balls, kid. Good for you. Frank, great show. It's been an outstanding time, this one. It was a lot of fun. I hope you enjoy your weekend. I hope you win all your bets. I was rooting for the Broncos to kick that field goal. I like the Broncos.
No.
They're a good team too.
I'm happy they lost. I want Josh Allen to give them.
Well, that would be cool too. But everybody knows
nervous.
the Chiefs
are
are God's favorite team.
Then I'm like, oh, wait a second. The Chiefs are coming off a loss. Are they going to lose 2 in a row now? Now it gets a little shaky. They're due for a loss, and Josh will get it done.
15 straight wins for the Kansas City Chiefs, including playoffs. I hope everybody enjoys the weekend. Enjoy the fight tonight between Mike and Jake Paul. Lots of good hockey this weekend. Go Devils against the Lightning. Go Hawks against the Canucks. Yeah. And make sure you follow at the King Bean on Twitter, at Vinnie Parisi on Twitter. And as always, Frank, thank you for listening.